always believed I was in control of my life. Every decision had a logic. Every step, a purpose. As a business titan living in New York's most prestigious neighborhoods, from the outside, you might seem to have everything. Money, reputation, a family. But sometimes your biggest secrets are hidden behind the walls you know best. And those secrets, one day, demolish everything you've built. My story is the story of the secrets I lost control of, the ones I ignored, perhaps the ones I was afraid to see, and how those secrets turned into a family tragedy in this magnificent mansion. It all actually began much earlier. Perhaps fate was weaving its web, and I was merely watching, hiding behind my own rules. It all started 20 years ago, when I made that fateful decision. As you listen to me, you must also understand the people in this story. Each carried their own burden, their own desire, their own darkness. And I was at the center of all their complex emotions, without realizing it. I am Robert Sterling, the owner of this mansion, once a powerful, principle-driven, international logistics giant. I was a man who hesitated to show his emotions, who always believed he acted with logic. My business life was everything to me. Perhaps it was my excuse for not dedicating enough time to my family, for my emotional distance. Adopting Ethan was a debt to my conscience, but also a heartfelt paternal love. My biggest weakness, I suppose, was my ability to be blind, even to those closest to me, or my unwillingness to see. Celeste, my second wife. Young, attractive, the woman I believed brought order to my life. But now I see that she had started looking for the emotional closeness I couldn't give her elsewhere. Her loneliness in this luxurious mansion was gnawing at her from within. Her desires were dragging her towards an abyss I didn't see. Ethan, my adopted son. He was the 2-year-old son of a valuable employee I lost in a workplace accident. I raised him like my own son, gave him everything. He admired me, I know. But at the same time, he was always a stranger, always a shadow in this mansion. I don't know if I truly embraced him. He too struggled with complex emotions like me. He was grateful to me, but found it difficult to find his own place. Olivia, my biological daughter, newly graduated from college, a modern, open-minded, vibrant young woman. She was my pride and joy. But she also carried that sensitive, fragile soul inherited from her mother, my first wife. Her interest in Ethan was a great source of happiness for me. She was my daughter, innocent, or so I thought. Harold, the mansion's veteran. He was a man who knew and saw everything within these walls, but always preferred to remain silent. He was by my side for years.
I trusted him.
He was loyal. And one day, that loyalty would reveal the most terrible truth. Perhaps he was my only true friend. Eleanor, Celeste's mother, a cool-headed woman with strong instincts. I knew she cared more about her daughter and her comfort than anything else, but I hadn't anticipated how far she could go. In truth, she was also a part of this tragedy, silently pulling the strings. Now, let's journey into the souls of these individuals, because this was a family story, yes, but it was also a journey through the dark corridors of human nature, betrayal, love, and regret. And in the end, everything came with a price. It all began 20 years ago when I brought that little boy into this mansion. That day, 20 years ago, I was making one of the most critical decisions of my life. Ethan's father was a young, talented employee of mine. I had lost him in a workplace accident. He left behind a 2-year-old boy, Ethan. I decided to adopt him. It was a debt to my conscience, yes, but at the same time, looking at that tiny body, an indescribable feeling of tenderness emerged within me. When I brought him to this mansion, I don't know if it was a reflection of my own childhood traumas, but I would raise him like my own son. Just like my own son, Ethan grew up in my shadow. I gave him a good education, provided everything. He respected me, admired me, I know. But there was always a distance a sense of foreignness. Like me, he was someone who kept his emotions inside. Perhaps that's why it was harder for me to understand him. My world was business. Numbers, projects, a growing logistics empire. When I married Celeste, I believed a new order, a new balance would come into my life. She was young, attractive, but my workaholic nature and emotional distance had left her utterly alone in this enormous mansion. I didn't notice this, or perhaps I didn't want to notice. I would work until midnight, and when I came home, I would often find Celeste already asleep, or vice versa, sitting alone in the living room against the Manhattan skyline, an empty glass in her hand. I remember one evening at the dinner table feeling that coldness between us down to my bones.
Robert, how was your day?
The usual, Celeste. Busy. There's a new company merger. I'm dealing with the details.
I know, but sometimes, can't we just talk about us? Spending more time together would be good for both of us.
We are talking, Celeste. I'm here. You have everything. What else do you want from me?
Never mind. It's not important.
That's how it was between us. Meaningless dialogues, a growing void. I couldn't see the burden Celeste was carrying. Perhaps I didn't want to see it. Yet this void was slowly beginning to be filled by someone else. When Ethan returned to the Mesa after graduating from university, he began to interact more frequently with Celeste's loneliness. Initially, they were ordinary encounters, but over time, Ethan noticed the sadness in Celeste. Celeste, in turn, found a sense of trust in Ethan's quiet, understanding demeanor. If my memory serves me right, their first closeness happened one evening in the library. Celeste was reading a book when Ethan sat down next to her. There was a tension that could be felt even in that vast mansion between us.
Are you all right, Celeste?
I'm fine, Ethan. Why do you ask?
I don't know. Sometimes I see a sadness in your eyes. It's as if you have things you want to tell.
Oh, Ethan. If only the walls in this huge house could talk. Who knows what they'd say? Some pains, some emotions are hidden deep so no one sees them.
Sometimes sharing can make things better. I'm here for you.
Those moments, those small conversations, were weaving bonds between them that I couldn't see. Ethan noticed the emptiness within Celeste, and Celeste, in Ethan's complex, quiet demeanor, found a closeness I couldn't give her. This attraction, initially, seemed like innocent sympathy. But I knew that sometimes the most innocent beginnings lead to the greatest catastrophes. Even in the noise of New York, every silence in this mansion felt like the footsteps of a storm. Harold, he was the venerable soul of the mansion. He had been a part of this house for a long time. He knew every corner, every whisper. In his observations, he was aware of everything. He was the first to sense that thin line between Celeste and Ethan, I'm sure. While moving around the kitchen or corridor, he had witnessed moments when Ethan and Celeste spoke more intimately in a more secluded corner of the mansion, perhaps in the conservatory. There was a wisdom in his eyes that understood everything, but his loyalty to my family forced him into silence. His silence was like the fuse of a bomb waiting to explode. And Olivia, my one and only biological daughter, she had just graduated from university, modern, open-minded, but she also carried that emotional fragility inherited from her mother. She had been at the mansion for a while. Her interest in Ethan became apparent over time. Their coming together felt like a natural flow. Youth, innocence. In those moments, I thought everything was going well. My daughter's and Ethan's happiness made me feel like peace had returned to this mansion. But I didn't know that this peace was the harbinger of a storm. A great storm. I know sometimes the biggest secrets come from those closest to you. The relationship between Celeste and Ethan was proof of my blindness. Their intimacy intensified, gradually, and began to take on a different dimension. I think they had entered an irresistible passion for each other. At night, in the silence of this enormous mansion, they met secretly in dark rooms. Their passionate encounters were further fueled by the fear of being caught. Guilt, who knows, perhaps even that, added an adrenaline rush to this forbidden relationship. If I had heard their whispers in one of their rooms one night, would everything have been different? I don't know.
Celeste, we can't. We're betraying Robert. This isn't right. You know, he is my father.
Right or wrong, who cares? This is what's right for us. I'm lonely, Ethan. So are you. In this mansion, we're the only ones who passionately desire each other.
In those moments, Ethan's conscience grew heavier by the day, I know. He was torn between his gratitude and respect for me and his desire for Celeste. On one hand, his debt to me. On the other, the fire of a forbidden passion. This fire was burning him from within. However, despite Ethan's remorse, his passion for Celeste, like the allure of forbidden fruit, intensified increasingly. When he saw her, that uncontrollable desire within him grew even larger. While I was on a business trip, that's when another secret began to blossom in this mansion. Olivia and Ethan had returned from Chelsea with friends, perhaps from a gallery opening or a club. Both were slightly tipsy. Their laughter echoed through the mansion's walls as they entered. They drew even closer to each other, pausing in the middle of the living room. Ethan's eyes had drifted to Olivia, a complex expression appearing on his face. Olivia's eyes held pure admiration and joy.
We had so much fun, didn't we, Ethan? I haven't laughed like this in a long time.
Yes, Olivia, we had a lot of fun. Everything is better when you're by my side.
Ethan's hand went to Olivia's hair, caressing it gently. His gaze intensified. Olivia's heart quickened, and she held Ethan's hand. I could almost hear Olivia's whisper, "Ethan." And Ethan leaned towards Olivia and kissed her lips. That kiss, though it started as an innocent intimacy, grew increasingly passionate under the influence of alcohol and the moment. This intimacy between Olivia and Ethan was the result of their intoxication and perhaps Ethan's escape from his growing remorse. Ethan felt great regret the next morning, I know. His conscience pressed him even harder, but this regret, paradoxically, would further increase his passion for Celeste. Perhaps he desired what was forbidden even more. After a while, Ethan's remorse grew so much that he started trying to distance himself from Celeste. When he saw her, he would leave the room, avoiding conversation. This avoidance also sowed doubt in Celeste's mind. Their relationship had reached a breaking point. Eleanor, Celeste's mother, a cool-headed woman with strong instincts, she noticed the change in her daughter, perhaps even before me. She saw Celeste's approach to Ethan and her distancing from me as a threat. She would do anything to save her daughter's marriage and protect her own comfort. Fierce arguments took place between Celeste and her mother during that period. Eleanor would pressure her daughter about her relationship with Ethan, issuing threats.
Celeste, get a grip. Do you think Robert is a fool? What's going on between you and Ethan? This will end in disaster. Come to your senses.
Why are you interfering? This is my life. Robert doesn't even see me, and you're ignoring me too. Does no one know or understand how I feel?
Loneliness is no excuse. Is sleeping with Ethan the solution? Be smart. Robert's focus is on Olivia, on his daughter, and Ethan being together. Be smart, Celeste. You're playing very dangerous games, and this will be your undoing.
Eleanor didn't shy away from playing mind games. She used Olivia's innocence, her pure interest in Ethan, as a trump card. She targeted that emotional void within Ethan. The bond between the two began to blossom through Eleanor's manipulations. I later learned that Eleanor had talked to Olivia, giving her hopes about Ethan. Eleanor didn't shy away from playing mind games. She used Olivia's innocence, her pure interest in Ethan, as a trump card. She targeted that emotional void within Ethan. The bond between the two began to blossom through Eleanor's manipulations. I later learned that Eleanor had talked to Olivia, giving her hopes about Ethan.
Olivia, I know you have feelings for Ethan. You two look great together. Your father loves him very much too. He sees Ethan as his own son. Do you know how happy it would make your father if you built a family with him? I also see how fond Ethan is of you. He always looked for a place in this mansion. He could find himself by your side. You can give him a sense of belonging.
Do you think so, Mrs. Eleanor? Sometimes he seems so distant to me.
Ethan sought refuge in Olivia's innocent affection to escape Celeste's escalating threats and jealousy fits. Olivia, in turn, mistook Ethan's closeness for pure love. A romantic relationship began between them. Tragedy was beginning. Throughout this entire process, Harold remained the silent witness. Passing through the corridor with a tray, he stumbled upon an intimate moment between Ethan and Olivia, and sadness and concern were etched on his face. Later, he noticed Celeste's phone on the table containing threatening messages she had sent to Ethan. Harold kept these secrets to himself. But his loyalty to me and his affection for Olivia kept him silent. His silence had become the heavy burden of his own conscience. My focus was on my daughter's happiness. As I saw Olivia's and Ethan's relationship, a sense of relief emerged within me. Although I initially kept my distance, I believed in their young and pure love. This mansion regained a peaceful appearance. Laughter was heard and plans for the future were being made. But I didn't know that this serenity was, in fact, the harbinger of a storm. A great storm. Celeste had begun experiencing jealousy fits on the verge of losing Ethan. The fear of losing everything had driven her into a frenzy. Her threats escalated. On one occasion, she cornered Ethan in the mansion's conservatory. Their voices had turned from whispers to anger.
If you marry Olivia, I'll tell Robert everything, that the man he considered his son got into bed with his wife.
Shut up, Celeste. Please. Don't do this.
If you do this, then you'll truly lose everything. Then you'll understand my pain.
This pressure had brought Ethan to his breaking point. On one side, threats. On the other, Olivia's innocent love. As engagement preparations continued, Harold's patience ran out. He, too, saw the price of silence. He now believed that hiding the truth would benefit no one. The engagement night. That night, our mansion was radiant with lights. Everyone seemed happy. Seeing the happiness on Olivia's face, a weight lifted from my shoulders. Ethan was also nervous, but everyone attributed it to excitement. Just as Harold pulled me aside and said, "Mr. Sterling, I need to show you something important," a gunshot was heard from upstairs. Everyone froze. Everyone's eyes turned towards the direction of the sound. Celeste lay on the floor in her room, covered in blood. There was a small piece of paper in her hand. All the happiness instantly turned into a nightmare. Celeste's lifeless body, shocked faces around her. I can never forget that moment. I slowly approached her, took the note from her hand. As I read it, my facial expression changed. First shock, then a terrible realization. That note was a confession of all the lies, all the betrayals. The forbidden love between my wife and the son I considered my own. laid bare in a few words on that note. Every word I read stabbed me like a knife in the heart. The note read, "I lost everything. First you, then Ethan. I can't live with this anymore. Ethan. He's a prisoner like me, but he deserves neither me nor this family. Forgive me, especially you, Olivia." As soon as I finished the note, my eyes turned to Ethan. He was pale as a ghost, standing frozen. First pain, then a devastating rage appeared in my eyes. That rage, combined with the shock of the moment, made my whole body tremble. Calmly, but with a poisonous tone, I approached Ethan. Emphasizing each word separately, I spewed the venom within me.
Ethan, what does this say? What is she talking about? What does all this mean? What did you do to me?
Father, I'm so sorry. Please.
You call me father. I raised you like my own son. I called you my son. I gave you a new life. And you with the woman I'm married to, with my wife. What kind of devil got between you? How could you betray me? And now, you were going to marry my daughter? Tell me, damn it. What did you do? What did you two do?
I regret it so much. I suffered deeply too. I swear, I couldn't control it. Forgive me. Please, Father.
Forgive you? There's no place for you in this mansion anymore. If what that woman wrote is true, then you delivered the biggest blow to me. Get out of this house, now. I don't ever want to see you again.
Just then, Olivia, standing on the edge of the living room, had witnessed this confrontation. She was shaken by what she heard. First, her hand went to her mouth. Then she staggered and collapsed to the floor. When I noticed her, all my rage instantly turned into anxiety. I left Ethan and ran to my daughter.
Olivia, my daughter. Olivia, what happened to you? That night was the longest night of my life. Olivia was rushed to the hospital. I waited by her bedside until morning. I didn't take my eyes off her for a moment. All the lies, all the betrayals had suddenly collapsed on me that night. A man I considered my son, my wife, and my only innocent daughter, all were part of a lie. And Ethan, he had left the country on the first plane that night. I never found his trace again. Maybe I didn't want to. The Gilded Cage. I think that's the most accurate title for this story. In this magnificent mansion, what remained behind the walls wasn't just Celeste's tragedy, suppressed desires, betrayals, ignored loneliness. In my workaholic world, I painfully learned that I wasn't enough to fill the emotional voids of my loved ones. How thin the line between love and trust was. A father's blindness, a wife's loneliness, a son's feeling of not belonging. When it all combined, all that was left was immense destruction. That night, not just a life, but all the truths I believed in had ended. This mansion still stands. New York's energy still flows. But for me, it's not the same anymore. Every corner, every sound, whispers the memories of that night's tragedy. And I, Robert Sterling, am condemned to live with the secrets that remain in that mansion. I wish I could turn back time. I wish I had never lived that secret.